Hi there, and welcome to Nicole's Creative Adventure podcast. Um, this is my very first podcast, and I just want to tell you a little bit about me. Um, I'm a quilter, I'm a knitter. I'd say I'm more experienced quilter than knitter. I recently have adventured into the world of knitting podcasts on YouTube, and I have become obsessed with the podcast and knitting. I think I've probably been knitting. I'd say I've been quilting for about 8 years, maybe 9, but I've been knitting for 10. I actually started knitting first, um, but just small things like scarves and that kind of stuff. I'm a thrower, um, and yeah, so I'd say knitting always happened. Come fall, winter, I'd have a knitting project, maybe 1, 2 a year max. Just kind of how things went. Quilting kind of happened all year round. I've had my seasons of busyness and crafting just kind of went out the wayside and wouldn't be doing anything crafty for a while. Doesn't mean I wasn't being creative. Usually during those times, I'm involved with music or dancing. I did a lot of ballroom dancing. Um, and I used to sing jazz. I'm recently teaching myself drums. So there are other outlets for creativity for me. A lot of hobbies. Hard to fit all of them in. But fall came, and California, that's where I'm from. I'm in the Bay Area. I would say we're probably about 40 minutes from San Francisco. We're more inland, more east. This is called like the Tri-Valley, Pleasanton, Livermore, and Dublin. I'm in Livermore, and man, it's been a drought here, as most of you have probably heard. Very dry, but I have to say, over the last month, we have had more rain, and I wouldn't even consider it like a rainy month, like in terms of what normally we would get. But within this last few years of a drought, this last month we've had more rain than we probably did the whole entire last year, from fall all the way to summer. It was bad. And we have snow in the mountains, so it's getting cold. Like today, it was 47 degrees at 12:30 in the afternoon. It's supposed to get down to 30, I believe, tonight. So I'm thinking this is a good sign. I'm thinking we might put a real good dent in our drought, which would be great. I'm sorry if you hear chainsaws and weird power tools, but because of the rain that we had last night, one of my neighbors' large tree branches kind of fell down on their electrical to their house, to their wires, and so it looked like it literally broke the main line into their service. And so the PG&E is here, multiple trucks are here. So I feel really bad for them because their power must have been out since last night, and it's 3 o'clock here. So, but I'm glad to see a lot of people are putting work into it. And interesting is that it's not affecting my power. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. Okay, so moving right along. What I want to do as a podcaster, kind of my bent on it, is to represent. Now it's getting really loud. Represent the knitters out there who are not professionals, and the crafters out there, they're not professionals. So basically, I don't make patterns, I don't sell them. It doesn't mean I won't ever sell anything I made. I think I've sold some of my quilts. There have been people who have commissioned for me to do quilts for them and work, but again, I'm busy. I don't have a lot of time. I work full time. I do full time ministry, and for a lot of you guys who understand working in ministry, full time is usually way more than 40 hours a week. So that takes up time. And plus, I just want to be able to have time to do my crafting, to get my creative time in. And so making money doing crafts for other people or for myself's benefit it's not my area of where I want to spend my time. So I also just want to come off as like the person who's just trying new things out. What I love about the podcast that I'm watching, especially when it comes to knitting, is showing off the stuff that you love. Like getting new yarn and being like, you get them and you open your package at home and you're like, this is amazing. I'm so glad I bought this. And you're like thinking of ideas of what you can do with it. Or even just like asking an audience of people like, hey, what would you do if you had this yarn? and then getting suggestions. Like, that's helpful. I also, it's going to sound sad, I don't have a lot of quilting and knitting friends, you know? In California, knitting, or at least in my area, knitting and quilting is not considered like hip, like it is, in like New York, where it seems like, you know, there's a lot of young people who are knitting, and it just kind of, it's in vogue right now. And so, if I was to go to a knitting shop locally, which I have a couple, I'm really blessed about that, or go to a quilting shop locally, I'm usually on the younger end. Either I am the youngest, or I'm pretty much like on that young spectrum, and everyone else is a lot older than me. And I don't mind making friends with older women. In fact, a lot of my friends are more mature than me, and they bring wisdom to our relationships and things like that. But I was part of a quilting guild. Literally, like, I think I was the youngest one there, like almost every time we met. And I just felt kind of alienated, like, and I don't think it was intentional. I just think they were just so used to their friends, right? When you have people in a similar place in life, you tend to gravitate towards people that are a lot like you. And so I kind of stood out. Or I didn't stand out, actually. I felt like I didn't stand out. I felt like I was, like, underneath some sort of veil and they couldn't see me. So the knitting would be the same thing. Like, I don't really know a lot of people that knit. And if I do, they're not my age group. I'll still hang out with them. But I kind of have a desire to get to know more people that are kind of in my same wavelength, that to like to be creative in similar ways, and that are there to inspire me, to encourage me, where I could do the same, and we can laugh together and have fun together. So that's kind of why I did this. I'm feeling like when I'm watching a podcast, like, I'm getting to know these podcasters, and they're cool. You know what I mean? And they're sharing with me their likes and their dislikes, and their personalities, and who they are, and their family. And I just feel like this is my chance to share it back. It's kind of like a one-way relationship when I just watch them. So, you know, that's what I'm trying to do. So that's the goal of my podcast. It's mostly knitting and quilting. Occasional random craftiness will come in. I also like to cook, but I don't plan on really doing any demos in my craft room. Probably won't work out. So yes, this is my quilting studio, I used to call it, but now that I'm knitting more, it's my craft studio. Or just, let's just say this, it's my studio, right? It's my wannabe professional term. I am going to list in my show notes on YouTube, but also on my blog, the other ways that you can find me. If you do happen to like my podcast or want to befriend me for some reason, or want to get to know me, sorry, my bangs are driving me nuts. Here's how you can. So most importantly is my blog. It's probably easiest for you to find because of the way it's spelled out. It's Nicole's Creative Adventures, sorry, that's plural, .blogspot.com. I love how I said that's the easiest, but then I can't even remember it. Nicole's Creative Adventures.blogspot.com. Okay? And right off the bat, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not a blogger. You will notice by looking at my blog that the last post before the one about this podcast was from January 2015. So as you can tell, I'm super active. Like, I'm on there all the time. Like, totally devoted to my blog. Nope, I'm not. I'm a verbal processor. I'm an extrovert, and writing is not my skill set. Posting pictures, that's pretty easy to do. I'd say I'm probably not even that great at doing that. I always forget a lot of times. Like, I should have took a picture of that. Oh. So, that's that. On there, you will find information about my Ravelry name, which is Eatmopoi. Don't ask. Maybe later I'll fill you in on that name. Had it forever. And my Instagram is Baker Vieira, BakerVieira. But you can find that information on my blog. And a little bit about me. I'm 36. I said it. But I think a lot of you guys were wondering how old I was after me probably mentioning that I can't find people in my generational type that around my area that are really doing what I'm doing. And if they, I'm sure there are. We don't have that connection, you know. I just haven't really come across them. I'm married. I've been married for over 13 years to Chris. And I have 2 stepsons, David and Eric. But they're older now and they're out of the house. We're empty nesters. They're 23 and 22. They're 18 months apart. And so that's interesting, being 36. My husband is 5 years older than me, so he's 41, almost 42. And to have the kids out of the house. I mean, it's a blessing, but at the same time, it's kind of like awkward. A lot of my friends have little ones, and so it's another thing where I'm kind of out of the loop a little bit. But I love kids, so you know, everybody knows Auntie Nicole, and I'll come over and play with them and that kind of stuff. So I don't have a problem with that. So I kind of told you what you can expect with my like little bend, or my bend on this podcast. But as of areas of focus, I'll kind of go through these certain things. Usually we'll talk about what I'm drinking, because I just like that. Some people are like, what I'm drinking, what tea I'm drinking. Today I'm drinking David's tea. I think it's called Honeycrisp Apple. It's a loose leaf tea. It's a green tea base. And thanks to some of my Canadian Knitter podcasts, I learned about this tea brand. I'm kind of a tea snob. I like loose leaf tea. And it's very yummy. I also have my staple of Crystal Geyser sparkling water. I usually live off that stuff. I love that stuff. And then the other things I want to do is podcast appreciation. So when I kind of shout out on some people that I think their podcasts have inspired me, or I just like what they had to say, or they mentioned a project or a yarn or whatever that kind of made me think about something. Works in progress, finished objects, stash advancement, and things that I would like to start working on. So things that I'm like about to cast on. Like as soon as I finish these projects, this is kind of what I'm going to work on next. So why don't I go ahead and start moving forward with podcast appreciation. Sorry, I just hit my keyboard. And I have a tendency to lift my hands and put them down and make noise. So I apologize if you're hearing weird noises. One, outside as they're tearing trees down. This could be like the worst podcast ever, but I hope you guys are okay with it. Okay, podcast appreciation. So first one I want to start with is Melissa with the Spicy Homemaker podcast. First of all, she's funny. I like her. She's outgoing. She tells you what she's thinking and doesn't worry too much about it, and I appreciate that. And she has got me in this sock knitting fever. So now since I've been watching her podcast, I've probably bought like 12 skeins of sock yarn. Yeah. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I'm obviously going to make socks. But, like, you know, I don't normally do that. So, she's been my inspiration for that. So, thanks, Melissa. My husband says thanks, too. Well, he is getting a pair of socks out of that, so. Molly from the Homespun House. I just love the look and feel of her podcast, her environment. She's gorgeous. She's super pretty and sweet. She's cool. Like if I lived in Germany, I would like seek her out and want to hang out with her. Granted, I don't. I live in California, but she's really cool. I just think she's hip, cool, and I love the names of her daughters. Like I just think it's cool. And I'm part German. Like a little bit. My dad's side is Hawaiian, but his father was part Hawaiian and part German. His mom was Hawaiian. His dad was German, which was Baker comes from. And I think Cummings or whatever, other backgrounds. But, sorry, that was just so random. Nothing to do with it. So, hey, what's up, Molly? Then Laura with Jinx Yarns, or I think it's a Dyer's Notebook, is her podcast. Well, she was the very first podcast that I came across regarding knitting. And so, you know, she's pretty young. She's cool. And she was the first indie dyer that I ever bought yarn from. So, which was the first of many. Once you kind of get like these all my other yarn is in the other place. But once you start getting these cool yarns, like you can't find them at the yarn shop, and you're just like, oh, I love this, you know? And this was made in someone's kitchen or like laundry room or whatever, you know what I mean? Super cool. So I've definitely been addicted to her yarns. And then because of Laura Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast, or Bull and Vine Yarns, was the second one I watched. And I I tried to buy yarn from her for a while, not realizing that there was a shop update. Didn't get the idea. And man, and then the first time I had the shop update, by the time I, like 5 minutes late, everything I wanted was gone. And I was like, oh, this is going to be rough. Like, people really like her yarn. So eventually I scored some. I think I have 2 that she shipped, but I haven't seen it change on the shipping. So I don't think it's coming until like next week. But I think I now have like 4 skeins. I think I have 4 skeins of her yarn. And I have 2 on the way, or maybe I have 5 skeins and 2 on the way. So yes, addicted to that as well. Her yarn is lovely. I haven't knit anything up yet, but just like touching it and holding it, like this one here I kicked up. Like, this is soft and pretty. I'm so excited. So thanks, Kristen, because I also like that she's doing sewing. Like, I've done a little bit of garment sewing, like PJs, a couple like really bad skirts, boxer shorts for my little guys when they were younger. So this is when I first started sewing. I thought, hey, I spent all that money on a sewing machine. I better do more than just quilting. And then I was kind of like, no, I don't think you should, Nicole. I think you should stick with quilting. Okay. So I don't know. I have fabric here. I even bought patterns. I don't know. We'll see. But if I'm going to get inspired to do anything with these podcasts, it would be spinning and dyeing my own yarn. That stuff seems very intriguing to me. Sewing, I think it's because I get in my head. I'm really good at quilting, like piecing, and I mean, I think it's more mathematical with quilting, which is funny because I suck at math. Sewing, I think the issue is just figuring out dimensions for my body and then not really liking anything that fits on me. Like, nothing fits on me great. You know what I mean? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chainsaw Man. Let's move forward. Works in progress. Okay. First thing that I'm working on right now is some socks for my hubby. And I usually knit up one sock, finish it, and then start the second. But I'm seeing this theme on the podcast that is getting hard for people. Like, they just... There's a few sock knitters podcasts that I watch, and I'll reference a lot of them as we go forward, but where they just haven't started, sorry, I'm detangling, their second sock. But they finished their first sock like months ago. I don't want to be that. I can't do that because I can't get too distracted or I'll never get done. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking, if I can, depending on the yarn, of course, right, and what I'm going for. If it's like self-striping, I might not be able to. But I feel like my hair is sticking up. I'm going ahead and taking the yarn and putting it into 2 cakes. And then I'm knitting out of 2 balls at a time on 2 socks at a time. So these are my little double. So my very first double pointed needle holder. I heard about it on a podcast. I don't remember which one. I went on to Etsy. And I found this one from the Gnome Knitter. And I loved it. It's like these, come on, focus, baby. Like gray and white and yellow with like gray snaps. And I thought, oh, when I got this, I was looking at it and going, okay, I could sew this. Like, I'm not a garment sewer, but this is like project sewing. This I can do. Come to find out, so I searched double pointed needle holder, and then the Gnome Knitter herself has a blog post that shows you how to make these. I was like, that's really sweet of you. So I tried and I succeeded. What I did notice is that she uses pretty thick fabric, and I decided just to use what I had on hand, which is tons of quilting fabric. And so that's a little thinner and finer. It's a little tight, it's tighter woven, but it's also thinner. So I think I probably put an interfacing or a stabilizer next time I do this. But so this is what I just took 2 fat quarters that I had. I had enough to make 4 double pointed needle holders in the same design. Could have reversed it. So this is the other side. Come on, baby. Anyways, it looked a little Christmassy to me. And it's blue. I thought, well, I'm going to do Christmas socks first, so I'll make this. Story on the snaps. So I looked online and she recommended, I think she said like cam snaps or something like that. And I went on Amazon and I saw a kit that gives you the snap fastener, a couple tools you need for it, like an awl and such. And then you can pick a set of colors. And I went with neutrals that had like grays and blacks and whites and tans and creams and yeah, that's about it. I think it was like 10 colors, right? No later than 30 minutes of that arriving to my house via package and me opening it, did I go on to Amazon and search for additional snap sets, because there's no way that I would have lived with just neutral tones. So, for example, you'll see like this is blue and the snaps match this color inside this really pretty, it's kind of like a sagey, light sage green, like a baby sage green. So made that. If I make it again, I'll do a little reinforcement. But on to the socks. So the idea is that I wanted to cast on a sock, knit the ribbing, and knit about an inch or a half an inch. And this is going to be plain vanilla socks of the stockinette. Then do the same on the second set. Did that. Now I'm going to go all the way down to the heel flap, where I'm going to begin the heel flap. So here is my first sock. This yarn is Regia Jeans Color, Jean Style 4039. I know, come on camera. Really what I think it is the lighting. It's a little overcast, there's a little bit of sun, but it's not coming, where is that? Anywhere near my house. I'm using double pointed needles, US 1 or 2.25 millimeter. And I obviously had to buy another set of US 1s so that I could do 2 socks at the same time. So this is the second sock. And I mean, I really don't need to show you because it's the same. It's the same sock. But this way, I'm literally going to go up to the heel flap, do the heel flap on 1, do the heel flap on 2, do the gusset or finish the heel, turn the heel on 1, do the same, then do all the stocking, finish the length of the foot, get to the toe, stop, do the same on the other, stop at the toe, finish the toe on 1, finish the toe on the other, and vice versa. I mean, I think you get it. Then I would have 2 socks done. So I'll let you know how that goes. I got my hair dyed today. Today I'm off of work. It's the day before Thanksgiving. And so I had my hair appointment and I knitted this baby to where it's at. Which it doesn't look like a lot, but my hairstylist is awesome and she loves to chat. And I didn't want to come off like I was ignoring her, so I got some done. So that is my first works in progress. My second one is going to be my first sweater. I told you guys I'm kind of a new knitter, right? I've knitted scarves, cowls, socks, hats, but never a sweater. And so in this, okay, so you guys announced like project bags. So like I'm not hip. Like I didn't realize that like homemade project bags were cool and hip. And so I just went online and Amazon and found these knitting bags. This one here, actually like this is a jewel tone. And then this is the same company, but it's just a red. What I like is they're super light, because what I am known to do if I'm knitting something stocking knit, it's very easy, like socks, Sorry, that's my phone. No, I'm not talking to you, Siri. Um, I'll hook this bag because it has a drawstring. It has a little loop inside to where my yarn goes around, so it kind of feeds it well. And then on the outside, it has a snap. And so I'll snap this sucker around my belt a few times so that, because it's kind of big. Zip, like tie it up, get my needles in my hands. My dog is on the leash, and I actually hook him onto my belt as well. I know some of you are thinking, what? He actually is very well behaved. He knows he's not supposed to pull. We walk together. He's about probably four feet in front of me, and he walks me basically while I knit. It's kind of funny because some people will look at me and go, what the heck is she doing, right? I live right next to a creek that's been empty for years now. I'm hoping we'll get some water in there. It'll stay in there and it'll actually be running because of the rain. And then some people, like I had this one lady, she was this small little Oriental lady or Asian, sorry, lady, and she walks all the time. Like she's so diligent, but then she's just usually just would smile at me, but not much, and just keep going. Well, last time she saw me and I was knitting, probably the first time she ever seen me knitting and walking, and she looks at me and then she stops and runs back to me and goes, oh, you are multitasking, and I'm like, totally multitasking. And she goes, oh, she's like, good job, and I'm like, well, hey, I got to get the walking in. It's not a problem of getting the knitting in, it's getting the walking in, and the dog needs it too. So, well, anyways, so I hope I didn't offend anybody. Actually think she's pretty cool, and I didn't want to come off, weird. Okay, so my first sweater. Because this is my first sweater, I'm taking a Craftsy class called My First Sweater. And you can learn a pullover or a cardigan. And I'm doing the cardigan with the 3/4 inch sleeves length. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on yarn on a project that I don't know if I'm going to be good at. I'm not concerned. This pattern is so easy regarding the actual stitch pattern. It's stockinette and ribbing. Like, it's a no-brainer. I looked, and the decreases and increases are pretty basic. Where I'm more concerned is actually, one, making the right size, and then two, piecing them together, because we're going to do in pieces, or is there panels? You got your back piece, going to have 2 front pieces because it's a cardigan, and then there are 2 sleeves. So I'm learning a new skill. I've never sewn knitted garment pieces together. You call it sewing too, but so I bought a yarn that was on sale on Craftsy. They had like a super sale, and so what I ended up buying was Universal Yarn Deluxe Worsted in Plum Dandy color, and it's a royal. See, this makes it look blue because of the lighting. Okay, so you see my sweater. It's close to, it doesn't look close, it's darker than that. But this looks really blue in the video. It's not, it's more purple. It's just darker. Same thing with this. This is purple too, but it looks darker than it is, so it's closer to that kind of feel. But anyways, this is what I got so far. The back panel, I just casted it on 2 days ago. I haven't touched it yesterday or today, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm using my Dreams interchangeable needles. Believe this is US 9. Yes, 5.5 millimeter. So we'll see. That's what I'm also working on. Finished objects. We'll just move along. Oh, wait. Quilting. This quilt has been up on a design wall. I've pieced the blocks. They were like, I think they're 12 inches wide, square. It's 12 inches square. And because we just did a ton of work, we had to get a new roof and all this kind of stuff. A lot of the front room furniture was in my studio, and so I was not able to quilt since August. So I started this quilt, I think, in July, and then I couldn't touch it until this week. So I have to stand up, though, because I need to show you, because it's hard to show you otherwise. It's not finished. I started putting the rows together. And it's going to be on point. I don't know. I can't see what I'm doing right now, but I'm assuming you're getting the gist. Getting the gist. This quilt is called Dreamcatcher. It's an actual design that a pattern you can purchase. I purchased it, I believe I purchased it on Etsy. It's by Sherry McConnell. Dreamcatcher. And I used Art Gallery fabric. I believe my white is Moda Solid, probably in Bella White, but my fabric is Art Gallery fabric. And I love their fabric. Fun, youthful, but not like novelty youthful, like really pretty youthful. Great designers. A lot of their designers are my age or younger, so they don't feel outdated. And so this one was done by Leah Duncan. She was a designer for that fabric, and the collection is called Tool. And if you look online, you can search that up. It's beautiful. And often I will just get a collection of fat quarters or half yard bundle, and I love how all the colors play because the designer created a collection. It's perfect on its own. And a lot of times I'll be like, I don't want to split this up. Like, I want to make a quilt just honoring this collection. And then obviously most times I'll have leftovers, and so at that point I cut them down into my scrap sizes, and then if I do a scrap quilt, then they get featured again along things that they didn't come with. So that's kind of my quilting background with how I like to do quilts. I have a huge stash. I'm not even going to show you, maybe one day. And I don't really often just go find random things out of my stash. I don't know if I work that way, but when I do need, like, I'll have a collection, or I'll go to a quilt store and there's already kind of I get an idea. If I need to find one thing, I will look in my stash, but it's not very common for me just to go, I'm going to build a quilt out of my stash. I haven't gotten there yet. Maybe because I don't feel confident in my stash, but if I look around, all I have to do is be looking around to be reminded that I have a decent stash and I should probably get into it. Okay, so that was works in progress. Finished projects. So this here is the Adama cowl. I think I'm saying it correctly. And the pattern is by Hilary Smith Callis. Yarn is by Jinx Yarns. This is her merino worsted in Goth Girl. This was one of my first skeins from her. Actually, I bought 2 skeins, and I only end up using one, so I have another one all caked up. This is so warm and so nice. Sorry, I'm kind of silly. And I use US 9s, 5.5 millimeter. And I don't know if you can kind of see some of, I could take it off, but I don't want to. It's really cool. And the pattern's on Ravelry. Butterfly hat. This is a free pattern on Ravelry by Sophia Kremen. And I used Ella Ray Cozy Alpaca. So soft. Alpaca, if you just get baby alpaca or any kind of, I don't know what it is, but it's so soft. The colorway is 13. I don't remember what it was called. It's a red orange. Sorry, you're going to see pieces of bits little fabric in it. And I used US 5s and 7 needles for this project. And I got this yarn from one of my 2 local yarn shops. I got this from Knit This and Purl That in Pleasanton, California. So it's just the next town over. Probably about a 10-minute drive for me. Really. So there's my butterfly hat. Super easy knit. So is this, by the way. This was very easy knit. I was actually really surprised how fast this went. So, haven't worn this outside yet, but looking forward to it. It's getting cold. Punky girl socks. So I tried out Susan B. Anderson's sock construction she has on her website, and probably the best fitting socks that I have ever made. And these are my Punky Girl socks. Hold on, let me turn them this way and this way. I did a plain, like, her construction, but instead I put ribbing down the front panel. And I have I have small feet. I wear size like 5.5, 6 in women's, but I have wide feet. So, but her sock size worked great for me. I didn't do a high leg cuff. It kind of goes up like that much above my ankle. It's fine with me. And after I finish these babies and I've been wearing them around, my husband is like, I want socks. So hence the fact that that's one of my working projects. Punky Girl socks were made out of platinum sock yarn by Mum D-Stash. It's a hand-painted colorway called Punky Girl. And I got that on Etsy, and I just was like, I think it was Pinterest or something, and I saw that yarn, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. It's like hot pinks, like a hot purple. It's got a light gray, a dark gray. It's got like white in it. And when the purples come together, it's just this perfect purple lavender color that comes up. Then it hits the pink, and it just goes, it's awesome. So I love that yarn. In fact, I'm going to keep my eye out because it's fairly comfortable, and it wasn't too expensive, and it's hand painted, and I thought it was pretty creative. And then the Bella shawl. My first shawl. Remember, I'm a new knitter, sort of. The Bella shawl is a paid pattern on Ravelry by Jumper Cables. And I used 1.75 skeins of Western Sky Knits Silk Merino DK in the Gold Rush colorway. And Western Sky Knits is on Etsy as well. And you order and they dye it for you, and then so it doesn't come right away. But whoops, I dropped a double pointed needle. But anyways, I'm not good at angling things on a camera. But here's one edge of it. Hold on, Nicole. What am I doing? This is ridiculous. How do you guys do this? Look, an edge. So it's got I don't want to say scalloped edge, but a pointy edge with some, you got your slip stitches in there to create some lovely lace pattern. And at one point, it ends, and then this whole other side is got this really pretty, I'm going this way, pattern too. It's the same pattern, but it just kind of, and a nice garter ribbage at the edge. I don't know if you can see. This yarn is so soft. It's a silk. It's got a nice sheen to it. And I don't know if you can tell, but like, it's got gold, some rust, dark browns, beige, tans. I really love it. I love it. I don't really have a lot to go with it. I like it. I'll work it out. So, one thing is, it's not very large of a shawl, but I think it would have been bigger if I'd actually followed the pattern, because it says to use US 4 and 6. Well, I forgot to change needles, so I only used 4 the whole time. So I bet it would have been a little bigger if I had actually done 6 for the rest, because you only used 4 for like the beginning and the end. But anyways, I'll survive. Okay, things I want to start to work on. 2 things. Christmas socks. So I bought these at the other local knitting shop or yarn shop that we have. It's this one. That one's about 20 minutes. The one I bought these from is about 20 minutes away. 35, 40 if there's traffic. So it's not super close, but it's a really nice store. It's got more variety than the one in Pleasanton. It's a little bigger footprint for sure. And it's in more of a, I'd say, wealthier area, so maybe less women have to work and they have more time to craft. so they could spend more money on yarn. So that's why it's more established. I don't know. But they were having a like an anniversary sale, and so I got some really nice yarns that I won't end up showing today, but they'll come up because I have plans for them. But so I bought 2 skeins of the Arnie and Carlos Regia. It was my first time buying the Arnie and Carlos kind of design. It's in this Summer Nights colorway, but I think it's Christmas. It's reds, it's greens, it's blues, it's whites. And I looked on Ravelry and looked at people's projects for this yarn, this specific colorway. Looks super Christmassy to me. So as soon as Chris's socks are done, Mommy gets Christmas socks. Did you hear that? As soon as Chris's socks are done, Mommy gets Christmas socks. Okay. The other, wool and vine yarn. So my first skein that I will knit something out of, which I'm hoping to cast on Friday. I'm not going to expect to cast it on tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving. I had to cook some vegetable dishes, and then we're driving to see family in Modesto. So I'll just probably work on his socks or my sweater in the car while we're driving and such. But this is the left base for Wool and Vine yarns in the Deck the Halls colorway. Now granted, it's caked up. I think you can see it's got reds and greens. It's lace. It's a lace. Let me pull it out. Boom. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% silk. It's in her lace left base, and it's 875 yards. So this baby is going to be my second shawl. And the shawl I'm going to use, and I don't have a picture for it, but if you're interested, you can look it up on Ravelry. It's called the Wilshire Shawl by D. Oakfee. I think it's D. Oakfee. Yeah. So I'm hoping by the next time I do a video, this baby will be cast on, and you'll get a little bit of a glimpse of what it looks like. The other goal is I'd be done with Chris's socks by the next time and maybe my Christmas socks will be cast on. Not too sure about the sweater. The sweater is not like a huge priority for me, because if I have Christmas things that I want to knit, I want to get this done before Christmas. So the sweater might see a little less action, and the shawl and the socks might see more. And now let's talk about stash advancement. I'm going to start with quilting fabric first. I'm part of the Pink Castle Fabric. It's a website, and they have monthly clubs. And one of them is the Art Gallery Fabric Club. And so, of course, I'm a huge fan of their fabric. I have tons of it. A lot of my quilts recently have come out of those collections. But this is the one I got here. Let me see if I can... When it comes in the package, you don't even know what it is. So you just have to look at the salvages to see what it's called. I know it's Art Gallery. I think it's by Pat Bravo. Yes, and the collection is called Dare, I believe. So, lots of cute little fabricies. There are 21 fat quarters in this. That's a lot of fabric. They don't mess around. The club, it isn't cheap, but you're paying for shipping and the latest fabric to come out and be in your hands. A lot of these, is the moment she gets them, they're in stock in a store. Like, I love this one. Sorry, I'm just like distracted by all the pretty colors. Yeah, the moment they get released, she sends them out, which is pretty cool. So, and then usually because of the club, she's out for a while, so you have to wait for a restock. But these are just, this is an interesting line. For a November line, it's pretty bright. I'm not a huge fan of the big floral pieces, but, I mean, there is a boatload of fabric there. Excellent. Oh, I'm going to leave that there because I keep hitting the thing. Okay, Knit Picks. Knit Picks. My first time ordering from them. I heard Knit Picks all the time, like, oh, this is Knit Picks and Knit Picks and Knit Picks, Knit Picks sale. Well, there was a big Knit Picks sale, and a lot of you were talking about it. And I had just went on there, and I had said, okay, well, because I haven't even cast on my first sweater, I should buy yarn for my second sweater, right? That's logical. Not even knowing what exact sweater I wanted. I had like 3 patterns I was looking at. I got a guesstimate on how many yards I would need. I wanted to do a tweed. And so I got the Knit Picks City Tweed DK in Tarantula, which is such a lovely color, right? That's attractive. It's a brown. It's a very chocolatey brown with flecks of black, caramel color, tan, cream. And this blend, I like it, is 55% merino wool, 25% superfine alpaca, and 20% Dungle tweed. And there's 123 yards. So I got 10 balls of this for really cheap. I think my total sweater will cost me $28 or $23. That's a steal. I mean, I think so. It does take me, and you know, I know some people have been complaining about tweed being difficult to work with, and maybe like pulling on it. Oh, this is pretty dang good. So that made me happy because I saw a podcast after I bought this, and they were talking about like tweed falling apart. I think it was Brooklyn tweed, and sometimes it would break on them, and I'm like, oh no, did I just buy that? No, I didn't. I think I tend to tight knit. What did I just say? I tend to knit tightly, especially when I'm doing intricate knit stitches like stockinette. I'm super, loosey goosey, right? Well, not loosey goosey, but I'm relaxed. I'm normal. So if I was to get into any of that kind of stuff, I'd be afraid about using a yarn that's a little on the delicate side. Okay, what else did I get from Knit Picks? I don't have any solid socks yarn, and I was like, I want to try that like knit. I haven't made socks where I actually, well, one, I've never done color work on socks, which is, I actually never done color work. Hey, I'll have to try that. Maybe not on socks. I'll probably want to start on a hat or something, or a cowl, or a scarf or something. But I'm like, I could totally knit a heel, a toe, and the ribbing on a sock in a different color. Like, that's no brainer. So I got Knit Picks Stroll Fingering. I got 3 skeins, one in gray, black, and white. That's super white on this. And it's 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon. And what I'm thinking is I had made these socks. I made socks out of this. I believe this is Madeline Tosh Twisted Light or Light. I can't remember. They're so similar. Those two were very similar. This I got a while back. I got this at a Yarn Less Raveled in Walnut Creek. But I made 2 socks out of these, and I'm thinking I have quite a bit of a cake left. It's just, I'd say it's probably like 40% left of the skein, because I weighed it and I don't remember the grams, but I was shocked. So I'm thinking I can do another pair of socks, not waste these, but do my toe, my heel, and my ribbing in black. Because this is a cream. You can't totally tell. And I called these socks my Marco socks. Marco is my doggy, and he's black and white speckled. He's a Queensland heeler. So I'm thinking I could just do those together. I'm not a big fan of wasting yarn or fabric. You will learn that quickly, I think. And the last thing I got from Knit Picks is their Knit Picks Hawthorne Fingerling Aquatic Speckle yarn. It's a fingerling weight. It's 80% superwash fine Highland wool and 20% polyamide. 357 yards. This looks like, it's really pretty. It looks pretty blue on the screen. It's a little more green. It's kind of like that green you saw in like this 50s or 60s. When they had like those light green refrigerators and, I don't know, KitchenAid. Maybe I'm totally out of it. But this is a thick yarn, and I'm thinking this is gonna sew. This is gonna sew up. I'm gonna knit up some fast socks with this, and yeah, It's got purples and blues speckles in it. It's very squishy and soft. Actually, it's squishy. It's soft. I think it'll soften up more when I wash it. But I probably do these after my Christmas socks. Who knows, right? Till I buy another pair of more yarn, and then I go, no, I want to do this. And then the last thing I added was my first skein from Hugh Loco, which is another podcast that I am adventuring in. She's in Colorado. Her name is Nicole as well. Hi, Nicole. She's sweet. She sent me buttons and a coupon. She sent me a coupon. I'm not going to show the code because I don't want to be giving it out to everybody without her permission. But she sent me these cute little buttons. I mean, I didn't order these. I ordered one skein from her. So what she's probably doing is being really smart, and then when a new customer orders, she's loving on them. But, come on, plastic. There we go. Super cute buttons. And I'm thinking, okay, now hi camera. I'm thinking now if I want to like knit up a little cute little girl sweater, I'm gonna use these suckers. They're adorable. But the skein of yarn I got was the tweed base. Tweed. And 85% superwash merino, 15% dungle tweed, fingerling weight, 438 yards. And this is the color is called cedar. And it's like a purple brown. You know, if I do move. Okay, well, that's pretty good. It's a purple brown. I really like it. And I have other yarns from like Woolen Vines that I think would look really good with this. So I'm not too sure if I would do a shawl with it and then maybe use another skein of yarn from another dyer and mix them together. But that is my stash advancement for this week and a half or 2 weeks. So questions you might have, how often are you going to do this podcast? Because I actually might like it. Said no one. Just kidding. If you actually like this podcast, please let me know. Post notes. Find me on Ravelry. Friend me. Comment on my blog. I'm not a huge fan of comments on YouTube because just anybody can see those, and I don't always believe everything that I hear on YouTube. But if you're in Ravelry, then I'm going to be like, oh, she's a knitter. Or if you're a quilter, and you can reply on my blog and comment me, let me know, or follow me on Instagram. But yeah, I'm thinking the goal is to do this every other week, because I work full time and I like to have time for this and family. I don't always have time to do these kinds of things. It's getting darker here, and so the lighting is probably getting annoying to you, so I apologize. But I'm gonna head off. I appreciate anyone that actually watched this. I'd love to get to know you, and if you're local, I'd love to get to know you as well. The more people that I know that are doing crafts around town, the cooler I think it would be to get together and actually craft together. All right. So have a great day. Have a great Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Today is the Wednesday before. So depending on when I get this posted, it probably already will pass Thanksgiving, but nonetheless, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and I'll see you later. Take care.